family. Thank you so much for joining us here at Give and Take Past the Tassel, where we are chatting with our class of 2026. I'm here today with Jessica Valente. Hi, Jessica.
Hello.
We are glad you're here today. Thanks so much for carving out the time to be with us.
Of course, I'm excited.
So, our class of 26, we're interviewing and we are going to, oh, don't forget, if you're watching live or in replay, be sure to tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to see those pop into the comments. Jessica, let's dive right in. Tell us where you're located and what you do at your ministry.
So I am in Hickory, North Carolina, and I am a special education teacher at Tabernacle Christian School. So that is my ministry. That takes most of my time. It's a huge blessing that we have that ministry
Sure.
in our school. And I can't imagine doing anything else.
How long have you been doing that?
So we are finishing up my third year teaching.
Okay.
I stayed home with my children for a long time and then kind of got back into the career world about 3 years ago when Tabernacle hired me.
Okay. And tell us where Hickory might be.
We're near the mountains, so we're kind of west North Carolina, not towards the coast. We're more towards the mountains. We are about, I'd say, an hour and a half from Asheville or
Okay.
Boone, where App State is. We're close to there, just
Got it.
not far at all. We like to go hike in that area. So
Awesome.
really pretty scenery out here. We
Very
love it.
good. Very good. Yeah, I hadn't heard of Hickory before, and so I was just wondering if you were
Yeah.
east part of the state or west part of the state. Tell us what made you jump into a degree at Veritas. What was your connection there?
So this is kind of a funny story, but we host a special education summit each year at our school
Yeah,
where we host pastors or church staff, parents, and then educators who are interested in special education, having a disability ministry, things like that. So we do that every summer. I signed my contract for Tabernacle, and within a few weeks was this summit. So I was going as a guest rather than a speaker or, staff at that time.
Mhm.
And Lisa Joyner was there.
Yeah.
And she had a table and she was speaking. And so that was my first introduction to her. And I remember thinking, like, well, maybe I should get a master's degree. I'm starting out. And my bachelor's, I had finished about 10 years previous. So it was really scary for me. But I just thought it through. And that was where I first heard it. And then I had somebody tell me, get through your first year teaching first,
Mm,
and then think about it. And so I was like, okay. So I got through my first year teaching
okay.
and decided that I wanted to pursue a master's degree and applied. I mean, I started the summer that my first year ended.
Okay, so you didn't take too long once that 1 year was
Mhm.
up to jump
No,
in.
I started
Okay.
right away.
Okay, very good. And did you already know that it would be in the special education department because you were already in that realm?
Yeah, there was no question for that. So I was already a special education teacher,
Got it.
and in the past, I had worked before I'd finished my bachelor's degree. I was a teacher's aide in a special ed classroom. I had done public education, private education, in-home behavioral therapy. So I knew I wanted to stay in that,
Got
uh,
it.
ministry.
Yeah, and so you took advice, you took wise advice to get into
Yes.
your first year of teaching, but then you jumped right in. You didn't waste any time. Good for
No,
you,
I did
jumping
not.
in, good using that momentum.
Yeah.
Tell us who was your biggest supporter during your time at Veritas?
So I would say, I would like to say obviously, but my husband, we have children, and so between schedules and me having a classroom and just the day-to-day life,
Sure.
even just church ministry, right? We've got all of those things going on, and so I had to fit school into that, and
Hmm.
so he picked up a lot of my slack during
Yeah.
that time. He definitely supported me through the entire degree.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because often we will hear of a spouse or parents who will help through their educational journey. But it is so true and very helpful to a prospective student who might be listening to this to say, there's no way I can squeeze school in.
Right,
There's just no
right,
way. And in reality, that's probably true, right? Like if you were to
right.
actually put all the things out on paper that you have to get finished, can you
Yeah.
squeeze in classes? The thing is, that if it's the Lord's will that you jump into classes, He'll make the way. He'll
Absolutely.
provide the support, he'll provide the time. You know, if you feel that you are being called into continuing your education and whatever that looks like,
Right.
don't let time or finances or can I hang academically. Don't let any of that hold you back because if the Lord's calling you, he'll do it.
Absolutely. That is absolutely true.
And
And
I
there were
you know,
many
just
times where I had to
yeah,
rely on the Lord for that because
right.
I would think to myself, how am I going to get this done? I'd look at my calendar, right?
Yes.
And say, oh, there's no time this week. How am I going to watch my lectures and answer my
Yes.
discussion posts and write my paper? But it always got done. It always got done. So,
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because I think that is one of the biggest hindrances from somebody who really just goes all in.
right.
The fact that you think there's just no way I can jump in. There's no way I can squeeze it in. And you know, on paper that probably is true. But knowing that if this is a worthwhile goal and that something that the Lord's called you to, he'll make a way for it. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how Veritas has helped you in your ministry.
So I would say, and this kind of ties into some professors that I had throughout my time, but it gave me practical, real life, almost hands-on
Hmm.
experiences. So I obviously was working in a special education classroom. And if I'm being honest with you, some of my classmates had never been in a special education classroom. So it helped me to kind of see things from a different perspective, right? I'm
Good.
living it every day.
Right.
And they hadn't yet. So I could see, I got some general education knowledge. Like, this is what it looks like when I have a child with an IEP in my classroom. And
Mhm.
I could
Good.
say, this is what it looks like when I'm running a cluster classroom, right? And so that was incredible to have those connections. And I just feel like the professors that I had, they've lived this. They're not just saying, look in this book, and this is
Yeah.
what the book says to do, so that's what I want you to do, right?
Right.
They are actively in programs, in special education programs, or have started special education programs, or have done this for a very long time. And so I could go to them even for real life advice. I've gone to a few of my professors and said, hey, I have this student and I'm not sure where to go from here. And
Mm.
then they could help me. And that to me was worth everything.
Yeah, you're hitting all the talking points. You're
Yeah.
you're really hitting all the good stuff. So Dr. Wagner's joining us from Tampa and he said, "Did I miss how she came to pick BBC?" Yeah, she
Oh,
was at a conference with Dr. Joyner and Dr. Joyner of course had a booth set up and then she was able to connect with her there. And Ann Rill is watching from Kentucky. Thank you guys for popping in here today. Yeah, really great. The idea that we love to really, we're just really proud of our instructors for this
yes.
reason, right? That they'll take your call. You don't have to be in a class. You
Right.
don't have to be in even in their term. It can be sometime after you've left their class that they'll still
Yes.
take your call. They still consider themselves to be your mentor. You have a friend for life,
Mhm.
and you have this like this tapped resource you could just
Right.
continue to use, and they're eager to do it.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Just, I want to say 2 weeks ago, it may have been three now, my time's a little off, but Dr. Joyner was in my classroom with another graduate student who's finishing up her degree. And so they both came to visit and see me and kind of see how I ran my classroom. And it was just such a blessing
I love that.
to be able to say, to have her there and even pick her brain there on some things, but just to have her see what I'm doing every day,
Mhm.
and for this other graduate student to be there as well. It was really great, and that's something I don't know that I would get other places.
Yeah, I think that, obviously I don't know all the other colleges and how they operate, but I would like to say, especially in an online environment, that we have considered it to be an extra intentional thing for us to reach out or to connect like that.
Yeah,
Because we aren't seeing you in our classrooms, because we're not able to be in your classrooms all the time. That connection, whatever it looks like, whether it's extra Zoom calls off time, or if it's phone calls or text or something, they're eager to do that because they really want to see you succeed. They actually care about you and your
right,
ministry. And it doesn't surprise me that Dr. Joyner is
right.
bringing others to come see your class
Yeah.
and to come visit you. And that's great. I love to hear that. We love that. So tell us what teachers inspired you during your time here at Veritas.
So obviously, Dr. Joyner, I've talked about her a lot. There have been
Sure.
so many things with her. She comes to our special education summit. I have gone to her Herzog Foundation trainings. I have just connected with her in a very real way,
Yeah.
outside of Veritas. And then I would say Dr. Riley has been another huge piece of my education.
Yes.
He has been wonderful. Both he and his wife, they've come to our summit, so I've met them in person and
Mhm.
gone to some of their trainings. And that relationship that I have with both of them has been very important to me throughout. And I don't think I ever had anything like that in my bachelor's degree. It almost felt like, let's just hurry up and get this done and check all the boxes, right?
Right.
It
Yeah.
wasn't like that for my graduate degree.
Wait, let me ask you this. When you were doing undergrad, were you in class, like on campus?
I was for part of it, but I
Okay.
actually finished about half of my bachelor's degree and then started having children and all the things and put it on hold for a little bit. And then I
Yeah.
finished it up online. I'm actually from New York, so I did that there. I did
Got
it
it.
there. And then,
So,
go ahead.
so jumping into a master's program in an online environment, was this sense of community a surprise, or was it something that you would cultivate intentionally on your part?
I mean, it definitely was a surprise because I've not had anything like that before.
Sure.
Even finishing online, I didn't even go and walk for my bachelor's degree
Right.
because I finished it online. And again, it felt like checking boxes.
Sure.
And this sense of community is different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Sure.
I'm seeing my instructors outside of class, like,
Mhm.
outside of Zoom calls, outside of
Mhm.
lectures. They know who I am. I feel like they're actually a part of my life,
Yeah.
my day to day, my classroom, my all of the things that come along with that.
That's good. Yeah, we love to hear that. It is one of the things that, of course, we've already talked about that our instructors are very good at reaching out beyond the classroom and taking the calls from the students and to help them succeed. So, talk to us. You've already done this a little bit, but tell us about a tip or advice or something that you would give to the students who are in the trenches, right? They're slogging it out right now. They're not
Yeah.
near graduation necessarily, but what are you saying to the student who's just being faithful?
I would say keep being faithful because there are moments where I was like, this is never ending. And not that
Yeah,
it was bad because everything was worthwhile.
right.
But again, when you have life and ministry and a classroom, it feels like a lot.
Yeah.
My, 20-page paper, I was like, this is never going to end. And then it ended and it was good, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I finished, I'm done, I'm at the finish line. And
Right.
so the finish line is closer than you think. Even if
Oh,
you're
that's
just
good. The
yeah,
finish
even
line
if
is
you're just
closer than you think.
plugging away one class at a time, that's all I
Good.
did. I
Yeah.
did one class and then over the
Good.
summer I doubled up because
Good.
I had that capability,
Sure.
And so I would say you're closer than you think you are. Even if you're looking and it feels daunting, you're going to get there.
Man, you're good. You're an inspirational speaker here. I
Oh,
feel like
thank you.
everybody's going to jump in here now. That's good. Okay, so tell us what are you going to say to a student who's maybe watching this who is on the fence? We've already talked about there's no way I can squeeze in classes.
Right.
I just don't think I can do this. What are you telling somebody who's on the fence about jumping into classes at all?
I would say if you feel like God is really calling you to do that, how can you say no?
Yeah,
Um,
good.
because He will make a way for you to do that. And again, even if it's one class at a time, even if you have to take a little break, even if you have to do one class and then take a semester off and then do two classes or
Yeah.
one class, I found that taking one class but then doubling up over the summer worked very well for me because I had that extra time and I was able to pour in more time and energy
Good.
um, into each, and that really what that did for me was gave me four classes over the summer because there's two sessions, right?
Yeah.
So I was able to take four classes over the summer. And then during the school year, I didn't feel like there was so much pressure when
Yeah.
I was only taking one class. So there is a way to make this work for your schedule. You just have to figure out what that is and what that looks like for you. And it might not be the same as it was for
Mhm.
me, but I would say if you really feel like God is calling you to get this education, then look into it, talk to somebody,
It's good.
and see how to make it work for you.
I love to hear that. That is exactly what we want to hear. Talk to somebody, reach out
Yeah,
to us, reach out to Jessica. If you know
100%.
Jessica,
Hmm.
yeah, and if you are watching her, really reach her goals right here at the finish line. And I
Yep,
love that, the finish line is closer than you think. And the fact is, it can never be closer if you don't start. So just jump in
exactly right.
and reach out to us. We would love to take your call, take your messages. We would love to help you. It is our personal honor to help folks on their academic journey to fulfill God's calling. It's part of what we're passionate about. So, Jessica, thank you so much for popping in today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad it worked out for me to do.
Yes, I'm glad it worked into your schedule. And if you're watching and you are interested in jumping into classes, please message us. We would love to have you. And congratulate Jessica as she's about to graduate in May. We're so glad for you and happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.